going to sit here and just read off stats or anything.
Sure.
You know, I think
Tell me your philosophy, I guess.
our philosophy is to get the best players on the field and get them playing as hard and as physical and as intense as possible. And so, you know, typically a good indicator of physical defense is how well you hold up against the run. You know, so people can look for themselves to see how this defense is done in that, you know, in that particular category. But no, I mean, SEC is as good a football as there's played in the country. So all the guys on the roster know that. That's why they came to school here. But I don't think there's anyone shying away from the challenge, and you know, they're excited to get this thing going and see how good we can be.
Leach's offense puts the defense on the field a lot, right? Because
I think that's a misconception. I really do. I
Okay.
think, you know, I saw a stat that three of the last 4 years of Washington State, they played the fewest defensive snaps of any team in the Pac-12, which was a surprise to me as well when I first heard that. You know, just because a team throws the ball more than they run it doesn't necessarily mean that their defense is going to play more snaps. Now you throw a lot of incompletions and you're off the field quickly, your defense is probably going out quick, but that hadn't been the case with Coach Leach's offense, that's for sure.
When you have that 3-3-5 defense, just how unique is that? I mean, how much does that give offenses fits to have to prepare for that? Because it's not something that they're going to see week to week every time. It's kind of something they have to cram specifically for your defense.
Well, we hope it's unique and obviously difficult for people to prepare for. I do think you're seeing a lot more multiplicity, variation in schemes that teams are running. You know, you're seeing more 3-3 looks show up. A lot more of it on third down, maybe than first and second. But you know, with the proliferation of the spread and teams getting you sideline to sideline, there's been an effort by defense, right? Get more athletes on the field and guys who can run and cover space. So, you know, I think Coach Long, guy I worked under, and really where the defense kind of really got going. And I know before that's Joe Lee done and what he was doing here. But, you know, those guys just embrace doing it every snap. Whereas, you know, you hear some teams, that's nickel defense, that's a sub package that they bring in when the offense gets in, puts more speed on the field. The guys I've learned from, they just embrace doing it every snap.
What's your impressions of the personnel that you're inheriting, especially a guy like Errol Thompson, who's been a leader on this team? What's your impressions of him and also the other guys you're inheriting?
Yeah, I haven't got to watch every snap that they have all played, you know. Get out and watch them on the field, run around, you know, do workouts, and then you go back and you watch the film. I mean, there's awfully talented football players here. They wouldn't be in this league if they weren't. So very excited to get going on spring ball here, you know, next month. You know, physically you can see some very gifted guys. So kind of excited for what you can try to get them doing in the defense.
Why was this the right fit for you? I mean, obviously you had an opportunity at Syracuse and chose later to come here. Why was this the best fit for you this year?
I mean, I think I talked to Coach Leach and guys on the staff a couple times over the last couple years, you know, when he was at Washington State. And when the opportunity came up to finally join his staff and get an opportunity to coach in the SEC, you know, if you're in this profession, that's as good opportunity as you're going to ever ask for. So, I jumped at the opportunity.
Coach, what do you anticipate your biggest challenge being jumping from the Mountain West to the SEC defensively?
I think the biggest challenge right now is going to be going against Coach Leach's offense in spring practice. Obviously, you know, what are they, first or second in the country every year in passing yards? So I'm sure there's going to be some sleepless nights in spring ball getting ready for him. But then you got to get down to studying your opponents for the next season and you know, starting to come up with at least a rough plan on how you're going to prepare for them.
Is that difficult for your team, for your defense, to face, you know, a throwing offense throughout spring, and then, every day during the week leading up to the game, and then, you may run into an Alabama or somebody that, has big offensive linemen that pound on you, with a big running back. And, I mean, is that a difficult adjustment?
I guess we'll see. I mean, at San Diego State, right, we were more of a two-back
Yeah.
ground team, so it's just how you look at it, right? We're going to get some really good opportunities to, really get good at defending the pass and working coverage and all that stuff. And you have to know, well, okay, maybe you got to spend some time here and there preparing for when teams get heavier personnels. And fortunately, you got several guys on the defensive staff who have been with Coach Leach and been on some really successful defenses who they know, hey, listen, we're going to face, what we call 10 personnel, but spread out formations. We're going to get thousands of reps of that. So when we get offense, defense separate in scout periods, we need to spend time working 12 personnel, 22 personnel, the heavier stuff that we don't see from our offense. But on the flip side, you don't ever have to practice a rep when you get to game plan stuff of spread 10 personnel stuff, because you've got a million reps of it already. It was just the opposite where I'm coming from. You got a million reps of 21, 22 personnel. You had to spend more time maybe for the spread stuff that you weren't seeing from your offense. So